This is a creamsicle jig, and it's a trout slayer. Check it out.
Dude, that's a big brown, bro.
This is the Tiemco 708, aka one of my new favorite hooks on the planet. It's got a slight 60-degree bend. Wait, check that. It's 40 degrees. So it's got a 40-degree bend. It's a heavier hook, and it accommodates slotted beads really, really nicely. So this fly is kind of a creamsicle color. It's got the cream puff bead from Joe over at Firehole Outdoors in 4.5 millimeters. So it's a gnarly hook, or a gnarly bead. And I'm actually going to throw some lead on it as well. But anyway, it's designed to be kind of a little bit, kind of a middle-sized streamer that you can fish in conjunction with an articulated streamer or a little bit bigger streamer, or maybe just fish two little streamers, which has been very effective for us lately. Anyway, we'll just jump right into it. I'm going to take some lead wire and wrap the shank with anywhere between 7 and 480 wraps. Just wiggle that off, about like that's nice. I'm going to orient the bead the way I want it to sit, and then I'll jam the lead up to the bead. It's not going to fit under there, but it's just going to kind of hold it in place. Once I have it here, I'm going to take my thread and I'll just kind of loosely wrap over the lead to lock it down, and now I can put more tension on it. That's a way that you can get thread over your lead without pushing it out of the way. Okay, the tail is two different colors of marabou, and these two colors have been super effective for us. One is golden burnished tan, which is a nice kind of gingery gold color, and then this one's kind of my favorite lately. It's fluorescent creamsicle orange. Look at that. And this one is very fluorescent. As you can see with the UV light, it's got a lot of flashy qualities that we all look for as fly tires. Anyway, I'll just prep two of these feathers. It's going to ride upside down, so the darker color usually goes on the top, which means I'm going to tie that in first. So I'll take a chunk of the tan and rip off a bunch of it from the stem. So about like that. I've got a pretty unruly chunk of marabou here, so I'll just kind of line up those tips a little bit better, about like that. And I'm going to tie it in fairly long. So let me do this first. I'm going to take my thread back to the tie-in point, and I want the tail to be quite a bit longer than the body of the fly. So about like that's good. And I'll pinch wrap that in place. I like to advance forward to the lead underneath the marabou and then tie that off right in the exact place so that the marabou stays exactly where I want it. Now I can trim it off. Alright, and so the reason I did that whole thing is so that now I've got a pretty even body. There's maybe a little bit of a bump right there, but it won't be noticeable. From here, I'm going to tie in just a little bit of this fluorescent creamsicle orange color on the bottom, and I've been mixing this color in with a whole bunch of natural colors, and it blends in nicely. It's not too loud, and it has very bright properties under the right light. So I've got a little bit less of this marabou, even though it looks like a ton, and I'll trim that off. Here's a little trick that I learned from Davey McPhail. If you take a clump of marabou like this and I pick it with my thumbnail, I can pick a lot of those. I can pick a lot of the fibers off of the marabou. See that? And it leaves the stem. It still looks like there's just a big clump of marabou here, but if I do that a couple times and pull off the fibers off of those stems, when I tie that in, it's much less of a bulky tie-in point. See, look at that. It tied down very, very slim, and That way I don't have much of a huge bump at the back of the fly. That's all just aesthetics. I mean, your fly is still going to fish fine if it's got a big bump on it. But anyway, as you can see, it's got a really bushy tail. From here, the rest of the fly is pretty simple. I'm just going to take some of this tinsel chenille in gold, and I'm going to wrap that forward about to right there. And I'll just use my rotary function. I use my pinky as a bobbin cradle. Wrap it forward. Okay. So at this point, I need to point out this awesome 4B hen saddle. Medium ginger, right, Curtis?
Medium ginger.
Medium ginger. I have to check with the pro. All right, so this one is medium ginger. This whole saddle is going to cost you 11 bucks. There's no reason why you shouldn't have a whole bunch of these. But anyway, I'm going to pick one of these feathers and I'm going to complex twist it with this medium polar chenille. So we'll just get right to that. Okay, so I'll tie in my polar chenille. Just right here behind the bead. And I'll take this feather, I'll pull off some of the fluff down at the base of it, and I'm going to tie it in by the tip. So to tie in the feather by the tip, I'm going to stroke all the fibers down and leave this little section standing up at the top, and that's where I'm going to tie in the feather. I'll just grab him and I'll trim it off. And from here I'll take a complex twist gator grip tool. So I've kind of put my own clamp on there, that's why it's silver. But we're going to grab this, twist it up, and use that for the collar. So in order to do that, I'm going to grab both of these materials with the clamp, just like this, and twist them up. Before I do that, I like to get rid of the waste, so there are less things tangling up, and I'm just going to twist that up very gently at first, and it's going to be a mess like that. From here I can comb it out with a little comb, like this little CNF metal comb. I can comb that out, and now it looks like it's meant to be that way. So I'll twist it up just a few more times. If you over twist this, you'll break the feather, so that's plenty. And from here I can just use my rotary to wrap it, or in this case where I want to make sure that it looks good, I'm going to preen the fibers back a little bit as I wrap it forward, just about right to there, if I can get it to stay. And now I'm going to take my thread, catch it, release the gator grip, and now wrap in front of that with several wraps of thread. Alright, I can trim that off now. And then just pull all the fibers back and build a little bit of a thread head here. Alright, so once you're finished, you can take the complex twist loop, brush it out the opposite way to really free those fibers up, and now you can kind of preen it back. But anyway, that's a super simple fly. Because it's minimalistic in materials, it's gonna sink really well. It's got a lot of movement in the water, and it's a creamsicle. What fish is not going to eat that?